Hello, good evening, and welcome to Prog Chattery 777. This is my second review. We are going through the Van der Graaf Generator collection. This is considered Van der Graaf's second album. It's called The Least We Can Do Is Wave to Each Other. It's considered their second album, although it's really kind of their first, because the first one was, like I said, kind of half Peter Hammill, half Van der Graaf. This is the first time where they went into the studio as a band, going to make a statement as a band. And it's great. I believe it got really good reviews when it first came out. Got a great cover to it too, doesn't it? Look at that. Look at that cover. And then there they are in the sea. Quite lovely. This is not sure if this is a reissue vinyl or what, but it's got a nice little gatefold. There's been a lineup change. We've lost Keith Ellis. He's been replaced by Nick Potter on bass. Guy Evans is still there, Peter Hamill's still there, Hugh Banton's still there, and David Jackson, very, very important member, was on board for the first time on this album, on saxophones and flute. Yeah, as soon as the album starts, you get the idea that this is a much more serious album compared to Aerosol Grey Machine. It opens with Darkness, 11/11. The 11/11 illustrates the date in which it was written, November 11th. I'm going to say 68. I should know that, I don't, unfortunately. And it's just a great opener, a great introduction to Van der Graaf, I think. This might be a really good album to start off with. It still kind of has a bit of that 60s vibe, but much less so than on the Aerosol Grey Machine. Yeah, anyway, Darkness opens up. You just get the sounds of wind, kind of a storm slowly approaching, and Guy Evans with the cymbal, and the bass comes in, and yeah, it's a nice steady build, and it's really good, and Hamill's voice comes wailing through. His voice is, I feel it's not quite there on this album, but he is just on the cusp. Really, really good song. I'm not sure if it's really typical of Van der Graaf. I don't think so. Probably, it would have been one of their, greater numbers when they were touring this, when they first came out with this album, but as the rest of the story got written, I think possibly got overshadowed. It's not typical Van der Graaf. Then we move on to the next song, Refugees. Now this is probably the most famous song off the album. This and Darkness were both played when they reconvened in 2005. I'll be totally honest about Refugees. It is not my favorite Van der Graaf Generator song. That might be controversial. I hope not. But yeah, it's a nice ballad. It's about staying in touch with old friends. Susie, was it Susie and Mike? It's been a while. I haven't. I should do my research. Gosh. But they're old flatmates of Peter Hamill's who they'd lost touch with, and this is a song saying how we're all kind of refugees, and we branch out after we have our moments in life together, and then it's hard to find the way back to old friends, I suppose. It's got a kind of a cool little middle section in that, but I don't know, it's never really done that much for me personally. Move on to the third song of the album, final song of side 1, and we get White Hammer. Now this is much more typical of what Van der Graaf would become. It's a longer song, bit repetitive maybe, but lyrically it's quite interesting. We're talking themes of witchcraft and clash between good and evil, and it's a bit deep to talk about right off the bat, but it's a cool theme for the song. It finishes off with this absolutely insane organ sound, just the most evil sounding theme that they had done up to this point anyway. Really low tones too. Really cool. And the saxophone work is really great. David Jackson was doing the double sax work, which It creates quite a violent sound. But yeah, White Hammer, not quite a classic, but it's really good. Really good way to close off the first side. Might be the best song on the first side. I don't know, Darkness is really, really good. Then we flip the album over, although obviously just the disc, not the actual album cover. That was a bad joke. And we get Whatever Would Robert Have Said. Now, that's a kind of a cheeky title, really. The Robert in question is Robert Van de Graaff, who invented the Van de Graaff generator, the electrostatic piece of electrostatic equipment. You know, those things you can touch and your hair stands on, and yeah, that's what invented it. There's one right there, just for reference, an animated kind of one. And yeah, I think the lyrics are about just describing a Van de Graaff generator. Quite interesting. Great song though, very up tempo, kind of rocky sort of a thing. Kind of has that 60s vibe, but I'm a big fan of the song. It's one of my favorites on the album. One of the highlights of the song is right when they get to the mid-break, and the dynamics all go down nice and quiet, and there's just a couple of just lightly blown notes by David Jackson, just and it kind of leads into this nice build-up. That to me is an album highlight, as a matter of fact. Great little bit, and then it winds its way back, and one more big reprise of the chorus, and yeah, great song. Whatever Would Robert Have Said. Next song, track 5 on the album, 3 of side 2, is Out of My Book. This could be confused as a Hamill solo track, but again, Hamill didn't really have a proper solo career yet. He was just singing in Van de Graaff Generator, so some of these songs would end up on Van de Graaff albums. And Out of My Book I really like. I think I like it more than Refugees. It's got these really innocent, youthful kind of lyrics, you know, thinking about being with your loved one and growing old together. It's quite, it's almost a naivete to it, which is really, really good. Love the flute line in the chorus and that. Lovely, lovely song. And we finish off, this to me is far and away the highlight of the album, is After the Flood. Apocalyptic. It is an apocalyptic song. And definitely the strongest indication of what Van de Graaff was going to do after this album. Very extended, complex structure. There's lots of ins and outs, lots of sudden changes, and a really cool guitar riff. I love that Hamill riff at the beginning. That love that. Really, really good. Which is a kind of an upbeat riff for a song about the apocalypse and the Great Flood, as it's also illustrated on the cover, as you can see. Flood. They're all wet. Yeah, there's lots of dynamics in the song. It's got lots of very heavy, crazy sections. One of the best madness bits of early Van de Graaff is in there. Right after, there's a famous part where Hamill recites a Einstein quote regarding about every step being a consequence of the preceding one, and we keep following our path where it's all going to lead to annihilation. Well, when Hamill sings annihilation, ooh, that really is welcoming the voice. That is the first moment of the voice. That part is just scary, really scary. And the band has the big madness going on and all the dissonant chords, and it's perfect. Perfect. And then it all winds its way into this big sort of triumphant march. It's kind of funny, actually, really. You know, you get this, again, this hopeful, optimistic 60s sounding riff, and he's singing, and when the water falls again, all is dead and nobody lives. Which is quite somber with this really triumphant kind of march. But it's kind of a cool juxtaposition, I suppose. But yeah, the least we can do is wave to each other. Really, really good album by a really, really good band. Definitely not their best. I think, well, really think about it. I think every album they did after this is probably better than this, but this is still really good. And I think it would be a good introduction if you like kind of classic prog music, and you like that sound. This is a great place to start. Yeah, great album. We will see you next time for H2HE, who am the only one. See you then.